The story begins in the dark swamp forest, where a group of sailors is assigned to drop a special box, unaware this act would bring misfortune. As strange phenomena occur and the sailors prepare to leave, the engine unexpectedly fails to start. Suddenly they are attacked by a massive force, shaking the boat violently. In no time, vines emerge from the water, quickly dragging a sailor underwater. The other sailors panic, unable to see anything in the dark. As one manages to struggle to the surface, his face showing terror and despair, just as he is about to make it back to the boat, the vines attack again, ultimately dragging him under. Then the surrounding woods start to stir, signaling the next disaster. The sailors hastily use bombs to counterattack. With a loud explosion, the forest also emits pitiful moans. But such actions only anger the dark force. The vines then launch a deadly attack, piercing through the bottom of the boat and directly into a man's heart, cruelly displaying him in the air as a show of power. The next morning, a girl in the town seems to be severely ill, constantly coughing up black liquid, with nosebleed. This is a scene where Abigail Arcane, a professional doctor from the CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, goes to Africa to treat a local epidemic. Abigail shows a calm demeanor towards a little boy waving a small stick, and under her gentle comfort, quickly makes the boy lower his guard and takes his sister for treatment to prevent the epidemic from spreading further. Later, her colleague brings news, stating that the headquarters has assigned a new task, discovering an unseen virus spreading in a small town domestically. Abby is shocked when she sees the information in the documents. The place of the incident is her hometown, which she hasn't returned to in a long time. Following the headquarters instructions, Abby and her team quickly head to her birth town. The scenery along the way reminds her of painful memories from her past. Upon arriving at the town's only hospital, they are briefed on the current situation. Seeing the urgency, Abby, acting as the commander, demands the strictest precautions from all medical staff. The CDC team will analyze the condition as quickly as possible to try and find a treatment. Hoping to get through this disaster, Abby enters the quarantine zone to address some annual issues, suspecting they might be related to the condition. She hands them over to the doctors for examination. During their conversation, it's revealed that the child's lungs are also infected. After the doctor leaves, Abby notices a strange man browsing the reports, which puzzles her. She approaches him to inquire about his background. The man responds with composure, explaining he can be of help and requests to see the girl's admission reports. Before he can finish, he's suspected of foul play and is driven out of the hospital. Meanwhile, it's revealed that the girl's mother has passed away early, and her father, an old sailor, is left to care for her. Abby begins her investigation and arrives at the girl's home. At the same time, a police car arrives at the scene. Abby recognizes the officer stepping out of the car as a childhood classmate, which brings them both immense joy. They reminisce about their past fondness for each other. Under the rare openness of the officer, Abby learns that the old sailor was not a good father, often involved in illegal activities in the swamp. The two also notice that something is off. Not only is the front door unlocked, but the inside is overrun with vines. Suddenly they hear a noise from upstairs, where the vines are spreading rapidly, all covered in a disgusting green liquid. The officer pulls out his handgun, ready to find the source of the noise. They see a creepy figure crouching on the ground, seemingly cutting something. When approached, the figure panics and falls to the ground. Abby recognizes him as the strange man who was kicked out of the hospital. He admits he was just collecting samples, trying to find a cure. It's then discovered that the man is dead, his body covered in eerie vines. Everyone is puzzled by this sight, which they've never seen before. Abby also finds a medicine bottle by the sink, suspecting the old sailor died in agony. The authorities then seal off the scene, trying to uncover the cause of the mystery. The strange man's identity is revealed. He's a scientist from the city, hired a few months ago by the town's mayor, Avery Sunderland, to analyze the swamp's commercial value. He discovered a miraculous plant evolution, which he suspects is related to the patient's infections. He invites Abby to visit his lab, despite their awkward first meeting. Seeing that no cure has been found yet, Abby eagerly agrees to go with him. They take a boat into the swamp, reaching a large waterhouse, which is the scientist's lab. Inside, there's not only complete research equipment, but also various plant samples collected. In the known world of humans, the swamp is a special element that can easily destroy human genes. During his research, the scientist discovered a strong biological reaction in the swamp. While collecting samples in the deepest part, ordinary vines crawled into his glove box. When he accidentally drops a mutagen into the swamp, the vines grow at an astonishing rate, covering the entire box in seconds and suddenly launching a fierce attack as if trying to break through the glass. The scientist immediately releases a chemical gas to destroy the dangerous vines. Abby finally understands that they need to compare the patient's blood reports to find a connection with the mutagen, making it easier to develop a treatment method. After a while, the mayor holds an emergency meeting, where residents angrily denounce the bizarre protection initiated by humans, covering most of the town's area. The swamp's natural ecology, which everyone struggles to live in, has been severely damaged following excessive development by corporations. The mayor then comes forward to calm everyone, explaining the research conducted in the swamp could potentially develop a new type of fertilizer, bringing immense commercial benefits and providing more livelihood opportunities. This could transform the desolate town into a thriving development. After a great speech, he successfully soothes the residents' emotions. As the meeting concludes, the scientist steps forward to explain his findings, suspecting a link between the epidemic and the swamp. The mayor, however, is indifferent, deeming sickness a normal occurrence, revealing he had fired the scientist 2 weeks prior, and dismissively turns to leave. Meanwhile, Abby, on her end, is collecting samples from the old sailor's body, with the scientist coming to assist. They learn the girl's condition is worsening. They remove vines from the sailor's body for examination, witnessing a miraculous phenomenon. The plant cells come back to life. Unbeknownst to them, the vines inside the body are also stimulated, extending wildly and controlling the sailor's body. Simultaneously, the girl undergoes a chain reaction. Suddenly, the sailor's corpse rises, pushing them into a corner. The vines unleash massive roots, and the corpse begins to approach. As they prepare to flee, the vines rapidly spread across the ground, pulling the child down. The scientist intervenes just in time, freeing them from danger. Just then, the girl arrives and faints at the sight of her father turned into a monster. Abby, desperate to save her, braves the danger to scoop up the girl and escape the vine's attack. The scientist stays to confront the monster, throwing pierced alcohol at the vines and igniting a flame to destroy the creature. The vines cease their rampant growth. At the same time, the child suddenly shows no signs of life. Thanks to Abby's resuscitative efforts, she finally regains a heartbeat and breath, and a special fondness begins to develop between them. Abby decides to investigate the old sailor's ordeal further. They then take a boat to a diner, where most residents gather, and find Abby's good friend, Liz Tremaine. Not only the daughter of the diner's owner, Liz is also a well-known amateur journalist in town. Through their inquiries, they learned someone hired several sailors to venture deep into the swamp for possibly illegal activities. And those who went disappeared mysteriously, with the mastermind's identity unknown. Suddenly, the mayor's wife, Maria Sunderland, arrives, asking for a private conversation with Abby. She reveals her daughter, who died while playing with Abby years ago. Though the police deemed it an accident, she still harbors resentment towards Abby, blaming her for everything and warning her to disappear from Marais once the epidemic is over. Faced with her friend's death, Abby is deeply saddened, but realizes she must keep up with the information, wiping away her tears as she heads to the next location. On a stormy night, Abby and the scientist venture deep into the swamp by boat, where they come across a horrifying scene. A boat severely damaged and pierced by massive vines. They find a special chemical box on board, containing a strange yellow agent, likely a device for releasing substances underwater. Back at the lab, the scientist places the agent into the analyzer. As they wait for the results, they share their experiences and learn about the scientist's tarnished reputation, which leaves him feeling embarrassed and regretful. Once celebrated as a genius, he ended up in disgrace until he realized what he truly wanted to pursue, which led him to accept this challenge. Abby also opens up about why she left her hometown, revealing she had a friend from childhood with whom she was close, but an accident before their high school graduation led to her friend's death, which she blames herself for. The analyzer's completion alert interrupts Abby before she finishes her story. The scientist is surprised by the result, discovering the yellow agent in the chemical box is very similar to the mutagen they collected earlier. They suspect it was deliberately placed to cause the epidemic. Abby hopes to take the agent back to the hospital to aid in finding a treatment. The scientist discovers other boxes' locations on the laptop and decides to retrieve all the boxes from the swamp to prevent further infections. They split up to carry out their tasks. Following the coordinates, the scientist disturbs many boxes in the swamp. Suddenly, a boat appears in the distance, shining a bright light on him. Before he can identify the other party, the scientist is shot and unable to escape, leading to a thorough attempt to destroy evidence. The assailants also fire a bomb onto the boat, resulting in a loud explosion. Abby sees the distant firelight, and the scientist with severe wounds on shore realizes he's too injured to move. The surrounding plants quickly envelop the lifeless body, dragging it into the water as vines continuously penetrate the scientist, seemingly merging with him. Abby arrives too late, only finding remnants of the boat, with the villains long gone and no evidence left. As the mutagen spreads in the water, the vines start growing wildly and attack the boat. Abby, seeing the vines approaching, swims desperately to shore. Pushing through the bushes, she discovers a rumored corpse. When cornered, the vines seem repelled by some force, retreating back into the water, and the scientist emerges as a towering plant creature. Terrified, Abby trembles as the creature approaches, but she manages to find an escape route. As the scientist watches Abby flee, he loses consciousness and collapses, ending the story. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, because by subscribing you have supported me to make better videos. See you in the next video.